Welcome to this episode of The Lineout with Dr. Henning Gericke, renowned sports psychologist, currently with the Bulls, amongst others, but mostly with Kaizer Chiefs, apparently. That's quite a surprise. I was surprised to hear that. Firstly, welcome, Henning, and I'm looking forward to talk to you about culture, rugby culture. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's so great to chat. We wanted to do it earlier, but I'm happy we found the time, and it's just going to be great chatting with you. Looking forward.
So, what is culture in a rugby sense? What does it mean? It sounds like we're not doing folkspiel or anything like that. There's something else to it, something intangible, and we saw a good example of that with the Bulls lately. That culture caused a bit of an uproar and a bit of an upset. What is culture in a rugby sense?
Yeah, culture, to describe it in simple terms, is who we are, what we stand for. So it's got to do with values. It's got to do how you live those values, how do you embrace those values, how you nurture the culture. The culture is people. It's a people that will define your culture. So that's what it is, how we do things, what is our habits, what is our values, who we are actually. And if somebody needs to describe you, if you walk in a place, I can immediately feel what is this culture, a culture of caring, a culture of challenging one another. So it's those behaviors and those values that make up a culture of a team.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about that just now, but before we go into that, you've been involved with sports psychology for a while now, and most importantly, you were with Jake White in the Springboks 2004 and 2007. Talk to me about that and what you learned during that time under Jake.
Yeah, it's massive. I'm a clinical psychologist actually, and just I was in private practice, but my passion was always working with teams. I played Craigieburn rugby, and that's primary schools, and I was Uli Schmidt's captain. That's my claim of fame. And anyway, but rugby was always my passion, and I wanted to get involved, and I got involved with school teams, and we had quite a lot of success actually. Like life is up and down as well, but I decided that's what I want to do. Got involved with my Mpumalanga rugby team. It's before Jake White now, and we did actually very well. We beat Rassie. And that's a fact, actually. He was coaching Free State, and we beat him twice that year. And that was before Pumas was a team like now, and Donnie Gerber was one of the coaches. So from there, I got involved with the Bulls, 2001, after Heineke Meyer left, and Phil Pretorius had him for 1 year. So it was a lot of learning for me that took place. And Jake heard about me in 2004 when he got being selected as Springbok coach, and then from there on, it was a massive journey, learning, challenging myself, challenging players, and understanding really what is culture, what is high performance, what is getting the best out of players. And I got involved with cricket later. I got involved with soccer. So I'm really blessed with not just working with rugby players, working with Olympic athletes, winning gold medals with some athletes. So yeah, it's a journey, and it's an ongoing process, actually.
Well, of course, many years later, you touched base with Jake again under the Bulls, but I want to talk to you about that period, 2004, 2007. We started off with a bit of a bang, and then things went south. 49-0, loss against Australia. That's the time when, motivation, culture, emotions and everything else really comes to the fore. How did you guys handle that? And what was your role specifically in that, to go from 49-0 loss the 1 year to being world champions the next year?
Yeah, we were actually performing quite well the first year. We got some new guys playing the first time for the Boks, Rainer Banner, and Skulk played the year before, Skulk Burger. But there was a lot of new guys, new cultures. After Staldraad, I wasn't part of Staldraad, but anyway,
Luckily.
After that, I really remember the first session I had with the Boks. The Bulls sat in one corner, the Stormers sat in one corner. It was still provincial rugby, very much those years, very different than now. So it was a challenge making them a team, and we got it right. The first year, 2004, we won Tri Nations, beating the All Blacks 40-something, 20 at Ellis Park. So doing well. The second year, we came close of winning the Tri Nations again. And that third year you spoke about, 2006, was a tough year. And I never believe in making excuses. That's the last thing, because champions don't make excuses. But a lot of things happened before that game. They wanted to call Jake back to South Africa in terms of it was a challenging period. Let me put it this way. With on a lot of levels, on selection and getting selection right on all levels. So it was quite challenging, and I wanted him to go back that week. I know also had problems at home. Victor had, there's a lot of personal things. But like I said, that's not an excuse. So we got that score against the Wallabies, and that was a massive tough one. And I remember Jake told me after that, he said, you can have the guys because the next week we're going to play. That was in Brisbane. The next week we're going to play in Wellington against the All Blacks. And I had a session with no coach, it's just me. And I asked the players, tell me when you were down and out. And you stood up and you faced reality and players stood up. They will start opening up. And Blayton Porter said, I'm a quota player and people call me that. I was brought up on a farm and I played over 60 tests for South Africa. Lomo never scored against us. PSP stood up. He said, my dad died a few years back. I was drinking, smoking, and my life was upside down. And that was a turning point for me. I need to be a man in the house. And Percy stood up. And most of the team stood up and said something like, we call that session turn adversity into advantage. And that's part of a culture. Is the culture can fight for one another. They care for one another to come back because you're going to have tough games. It's not a smooth ride, never a smooth ride in sport. And anyway, that Saturday we played and Fourie de Pre scored a try in the first minute. I still remember that try like yesterday against All Blacks. And All Blacks came to South Africa. We beat them by 1 point at Rustenburg. Andre Pretorius kicked that conversion. And from there on, it was just getting better and stronger, not taking the best team to the World Cup. So it was good planning there and taking this to the Tri Nations. The top guys stayed behind. I actually trained them physically, and Rassie was a technical advisor at those days. He helped me. We had the box for 2-3 weeks while the B side, if you can call it, played overseas. And so that's the journey. And Envia, let me tell you, a journey in sport, even though the Boks are doing well at the moment, there's no ways it can be just everything a smooth ride and everything going fine. And when things are going tough, the real culture of the team comes out. And that's what the Boks 2007, I know it's a long time ago, but the Boks of 2007, they had resilience. They had that adversity, turn adversity into advantage. And that's the makeup of a champion team. How you stand together, how you come back stronger than ever before.
No, I'm interested in that thing where you said, when you first joined the Springboks, there was the Stormers in the one corner, the Bulls in the other corner, and I suppose the Lions and the Sharks as well. How did you manage that? Because I know in the current Springbok setup as well, you've got players from all over the world. I mean, they've been together, some of them for more than 10 years now in the Springboks. It's not that much of a challenge, but to overcome that sort of provincialism, that thing is rooted deeply, decades and decades of provincialism and everything else. So how did you address that? I'm interested in that.
You need good leadership, and you need people with no egos. You need people that the team is more important than me, and have an open-mindedness about what are we going to do for this team and how are we going to get the team going now at the moment. And if you've got enough good people in your team that's not self-centered and not, I know Rassie challenged that as well by having the session a time ago in the beginning, players that's entitled, and he said I was entitled myself. So that's a type of culture you want. You want players that say, let's do this together. And at the end of the day, if everyone puts effort, and that's what we did as leaders. John Smith was a good leader, and I mean, he didn't play the best rugby in those 4 years, with all respect, but Victor Matfield could have easily sabotaged him and say, hey, I want to be the captain, because he had a lot of support from the specifically the Bulls players, but he never did that. So what I'm saying, we had good players in our team that there was no egos. And if you got those good leadership, it starts with leadership, coaching staff, leadership from the players. If you got that going, anything is possible.
We actually filming this in the Bulls conditioning unit. So if you see activity in the background, it's the Bulls going about their thing. So don't worry about it. The Bulls must be prepared for Saturday.
Working there, and I want him to tell he can carry on. I just found this place, so yes, thank you. It shows you life carries on, eh?
Yeah, no
but thanks,
problem.
100%.
In terms of personalities, you just mentioned no egos. And that's typically something that you would associate with a top sportsman. I mean, there's typically a lot of ego involved. And I suppose it's the job of the coach to make sure those egos don't take over and they don't run amok. But you also need a bit of an ego. You need a bit of self-confidence and everything else. Because Something that we South Africans are very prone to is being the underdog, and we're not the favorites, and that's something that Rassie's been trying to change lately. That we are the favorites. We should accept that label and act accordingly. We've seen that in victories with 14 players on the field and the likes. How do they do that? How do you get that mindset? We South Africans, we like being the underdogs. We like being humble. The brag nie, that kind of a thing. How do you get over that?
Yeah, I think it's quite a challenging one. Ego for me, of course, ego is your self-image, who you are, and that's positive. But if it's about ego, just yourself, that's something different, So I think confidence, of course, if you start winning like the Boks now, you've got a lot of confidence, but you can become arrogant. That is reality. And that's a culture is never something that's settled. And with the Boks at the moment as well, you can't say they've got a great culture. There's certain things happening at the moment in the Boks camp, red cards and things, and it's maybe not a coincidence. So your culture, you always need to nurture. Your culture, you need to protect always. Your culture, it's never a constant thing you've got a good culture, now things will happen. It can change like this if you haven't got your hands on it. If you're not, easily it can change a culture. So, but yes, to answer your question, it is all about you want confidence. And I think South Africans can have that confidence. And I think being that on the underdog tag, we real champions past that, and that's what the Boks doing at the moment. They can play while even being favorites, and that's for me powerful, because I remember when I was with the Boks still, and I think it will be still our mentality. We want to perform when we're underdogs. We're at our best. I mean, that's why I believe that's why we're playing well. We've got 13, 14 guys because we're underdogs. Nobody gives us a chance. So we'll always be good at that. We actually play better, and it's a very brave statement I make at the moment. But we actually play better sometimes with 14 than with 15. And you can see it when we were 15 against certain teams. We think we looked average. That just shows you that's part of South African mentality. But to make the shift, and for Rassie and the team to got that right, and the leadership to be favorites and performing on a consistent level, it's something very special what they got right there. And there's a combination of a few things out there. What we can talk about, why do I think they're getting it right at the moment? But yes, confidence is good. And we can have always confidence in South Africa, not being just underdogs, but it can tip. And if it tips, it can become arrogance, and it becomes something, and that's always... Yeah, that's a challenge what coaching staff has got, how you manage those things.
I'll talk to you about the building blocks of a culture just now, because I know that was in your article. It was quite interesting. But I wanted to ask you one other question in terms of the culture. You mentioned the word protect the culture just now. And I want to talk to you about bad apples. In the Jake era, there was one specifically well-known bad apple. Let's call him that. I don't want to mention his name. That Jake was quite adamant about not allowing him in the Springbok side, even though he might have been the best player, for argument's sake, at that time. The fact that he wouldn't have fit into the culture was more important than how good a player he was. Talk to me about how that's handled.
Yeah, you're asking me how did we handle that? Is that what you asked me?
I'm asking you, yes, maybe that specific incident, but also in general. Even today, there's an issue with certain players not in the team.
Of course, I call it energy sappers and energizers. So one of the things you look for a great player is being a team player. You always want team players, and Rassie mentioned it now about Franco Mostert. He had a tough year, but he was supporting the team. He was there for the team. Team is everything. That's the type of player you want. That's the type of player you want in your team. That's always a team player. Team comes first. It's bigger than. I mean, Rassie challenged Siya Kolisi about this is not Kolisi's show, and definitely not a Rassie show, even though it looks sometimes that way. And he's gonna be the team all the time. And bad apples won't fit into that culture because it's about themselves, and they won't make it. They won't make it on the longer term consistently in a team that's got those cultures. And if you allow that bad apples, you deserve them, because that's a culture you create as coach. And so it's a great challenge for a coach to get that dynamics right all the time. And the Boks are getting it right at the moment. There's no doubt about that. You can't argue that. I mean, it's a little bit sensitive one, but I'm not scared to answer that one. It was a difficult one, when I remember, and I can mention his name, Luke Watson, when he was there, but I must say I felt sorry for him as well. It was difficult, and he was a good man, but there was some background coming, and there was a lot of situations But for me, when I made very good contact with him while he was at the box, he was a good man actually. It was just a lot of baggage and things that play a role, but I don't want to go into that. But his name and he's got character. They made him Western Province captain, so there was a lot of good things about him as well. That's just my view.
All right, let's talk about those building blocks you mentioned. In that article, you mentioned there are 3 things that makes a team's culture successful. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, building blocks. I think there's it's got to do with forming a relationship. For me, it's trust. That's a key thing. If you've got trust going in any culture, because it's got to do with relationship. You work with people, you work with people's career, you care for them. And a guy like Johan Ackerman at the Bull, he started now, he's very good at that. And saying, for me, it's about forming a relationship. For me, it's about caring for you. You like my sons, I care for you. So that's building blocks for me as a culture. And then in what the box got right, if we talk about, so the relationship is important for me. Develop trust, that's of course important. Then having a vision. You need to have a vision. Great cultures know where they want to go. They challenge themselves all the time. They lift the bar. And if you think about the box, what they're doing at the moment, building blocks, they're never satisfied. They push it to the next level. Play with 13, play with 14, want to go for the next. So it's always, you can be better. And I asked some of the players that's part of that squad at the moment, and they say the competition is so tough there. You need to be at your best all the time. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. So it's about excellence in that culture. It's about, of course, you're going to make mistakes, but it's a culture of challenging one another. It's a culture of coaches challenging one another. It's a culture of diversity. You've got different coaches coming from different backgrounds. New Zealand coach, you've got Irish coaches involved. And that you must give to Rassie, to be open-minded, to say, hey, we need to be adapt here. We need to be one step ahead. We need to overanalyze or analyze guys and be smart and be always one step ahead. And that's part of great cultures. They form a relationship. They challenge themselves. They always raise the bar. They look at fine detail. If you look what's happened at the box and you talk to players, they're so meticulous on detail, meticulous planning, everything. It's not just all the sessions they're having. The training camps they're going to, they have massive lot of sessions about malls, about that, finer detail. So they're so prepared. And that's the building blocks of a champion culture. They build relationship, but they raise the bar. They adaptive, they innovative. Think about the box about innovation. One step ahead all the time. And I remember Clive Woodworth, when we won the cup, the World Cup 2007, he had a session with us. Jake got him in. And he had a session with us, and he said the team that will win the next World Cup need to outthink the opposition. And that's what we tried to do in 2007, and by not playing the players all the time and taking a B team overseas and a lot of other things we did. But that's what the Boks are doing so well at the moment. They outthink the opposition on all levels. They one step ahead. And of course, at the moment, you've got, and I mean, just great coaching staff, great culture, great leadership. Siya Kolisi, that's a cornerstone of your culture. If you talk about building, you need good leadership. And Siya is a leader. And I worked with him at Western Province. And I think a guy like Robbie Fleck is not giving a little bit of what I'm going to say now. But I was at Western Province those years helping them. And I remember, not trying to get any credit for that, it's actually Robbie Fleck. And we had a new captaincy, and that was 2014, 2015. Who's going to be the new captain? And I spoke to him, and he said, must it be Siya Kolisi, France, or maybe Siya. And we decided we're going to make Siya captain of the Stormers. And he was actually, and he will agree or acknowledge that his life wasn't perfect those years, but he had the potential. Perfect off the pitch, a lot of issues that he sorted out. And we made him captain. Western Province, Robbie Fleck made him captain. And that's where it started. And because he can connect with people, and that's building blocks of a great culture. You need great leadership. And like I mentioned about previous years, Victor Matfield, you need those good people that can lead the team, because the players look up to leadership first. So that's a mouthful of what is the building blocks, but innovation, it's adaptability, it's forming relationships, it's raising the bar all the time, a combination of all that. And that's values, and that's the foundation of great cultures.
I read a book once called Business at the Speed of Trust, and it was about business, but I suppose it relates to sport as well. What does trust mean in a team setup like this? Where does trust come into it?
Yes, I think players want honesty. They want to know where they stand. Players are simple in that way. They're not complicated. Tell players why you don't select them. What do you need of them? What is their strength? What is their weaknesses? Then you build trust. I call this relationship trust. And then, of course, there's competent trust. Competent trust, you can't trust somebody if you select him and he's not doing well and not doing well again. You're not going to select him on that level. So communication trust, there's good respect. You're open and honest with people. You clarify expectations. What do you expect of one another? And that's communication trust. But competent trust is you need to deliver as well. And you've got those two qualities with character, of course. Then you've got trust going. Competent trust, communication trust, and then, of course, character trust. And that's a makeup in a rugby environment. You want people with character, you can trust them. You want people that you can be open and honest about what you expect of them, communication, and then, of course, they need to be competent. You're not going to trust somebody if they're not competent.
All right. Keep this trust thought in mind. I want to ask you the next question. I'm the coach now. Like you said with Johan, for example, saying you are like my sons, and hand over the shoulder, and I understand your problems. But next week I've got to drop you because you're not good enough. Does that not come into trust a little bit? But just this last week you were consoling me, and this week you're dropping me. Is that not a problem? How does that work? Your coach having to be both a man's man, a kind of a people's person, and also a bit more ruthless, like Jake was quite well known to be.
Yeah, I think it's still. Yeah, I think it is. There's a lot of traps, of course, being in a coaching situation, but I think if you're honest, and that's one of the values, being honest with people. What does honesty mean? Being honest with people. I think if you got that going, people will take it, whatever happens. But what can never change is being honest with people, trust them. And if they haven't had a good game and they're captain, I mean, being honest with them. I think that's a challenge. So there is for me, as being a great coach, you need character. And that character mean that be consistent. Players know where they stand with you in the tough times and not so tough times. And they will sum you up. They will sum you up, players, and see if this is really a coach I can trust.
Talk about pressure. And the Springboks are a good example of that. I mean, but they're not just a rugby team anymore. They sort of represent South Africa in many respects. People emotionally connect to them. We actually published a podcast this week about somebody who was following the Springboks around, meeting Rassie, and telling how emotionally got people responding from all over the world, India, France, Belgium, saying that it still connects them to South Africa through the Springboks side. That is a lot of pressure. What does that do to a team's culture and a team's cohesion and everything?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. But what Rassie and people around Rassie, not just Rassie, a lot of people around him got right. But of course, he's the leader. He leads from the front. They've got a powerful why. And your why is your highest motivation. If I can explain to you like a golden circle, if you can visualize, your outside circle is what you do. It's not so important. You're playing Springbok rugby player, how you do it, how you train, how you do it. But a small little circle in the middle is your why. And average teams focus first on the why, and then they focus on how and what they're going to do. That average team focus first on the outside, on the what you do, how you do it, and then come to the why. But great teams like the Boks, and you talk about pressure, they start with the why. And the Springboks' why is we play for South Africa. That is the ultimate thing that they talk about. So pressure, it takes pressure off you actually, because it's not about yourself. There's something much bigger than you. You give everything what you can. And what can you do more if you give everything for your country? So, and it sounds like it's actually, you need to reframe it. And that's what I did. And they spoke about it. Pressure is not having food. Pressure is not having that. And that's the discussions they had with the players as well. So real pleasure is not playing for the Boks. Real pleasure is crime. And real pleasure is you haven't got food tonight. And that put things in perspective for players. And then you've got that powerful why. I'm playing because God blessed me. I'm in a situation I can go out and express myself. And I'm privileged. It's not a pressure. It's about privilege to be in this jersey and do the best I can. And that's something they're getting right, whatever. I work still with a lot of players. I see a lot of players in the box side, but I haven't got that insight specifically in the box team and exactly what's going on there. But they're doing a lot of things right. There's no doubt about that.
Well, interestingly enough, the Boks do not have a sports psychologist. Hasn't had one since Rassie's been there. Why do you think that is?
I think, it was, and it is actually being a sports psychologist, to be honest with you, is very challenging because you're actually taking the role of the coach a lot of times. And that's why I've got a lot of respect for Jake. Whatever people, he allowed me to be myself. He allowed me to having sessions. I'll forever having respect for Jake. Because the way he gave me a chance in life, the way he gave a lot of other people chances in life. But you need to understand your role. I remember I was with the soccer team. I'll come back to that question you just asked me for Bafana, and I did well with them before the World Cup. And the coach told me, it was Pereira, you'll never get to those people's heart after I had a session. And I told my wife, this coach see me as a threat. I won't be part of it. And you need to have a very good relationship with a coach to be there for a coach. And I think at the moment they don't need a sports psychologist, to be honest. I think because Rassie and the team is doing well and things work for them, and Rassie wants to do a lot of that. And sports psychologist is not to fix people's problems. A sports psychologist is actually all about helping the coach and helping the whole team to create a high-performance environment. So I'd like to call myself a high-performance coach rather than a sports psychologist, because if you say sports psychologist, a lot of things, okay, there's a problem, we need to fix it. So open mind, I think there's always a role for a sports psychologist or a high-performance coach in any team. But it depends on where's the team, what does the coaches need, and how does he see it? And yeah, there's no wrong or right, but it works at the moment for the Boks. And somebody else will come in and maybe say, I'm going to need somebody just to be there for me as well, that I can reflect and help me with my leadership, understand team dynamics a little bit better than me. But if a coach thinks things are working the best what he can do, why bring somebody in that you think you can do it? So yes, it's an interesting challenge.
Okay, I want to get back to pressure now. I want to talk about the Bulls a little bit, and tell me if you're not comfortable, because I can cut it out. No worries.
No problem. No problem.
The Bulls are the most successful team in South Africa in terms of the URC. They haven't won the URC like the Stormers have, but they've been in most of the finals. Lots of pressure, lots of expectation. There was a lot of upheaval. And then Johan Ackerman comes in, sort of thrown into the deep end. Let's call it what it is. No notice almost. Right before the start of the season, having to deal with very few Springboks being available, lots and lots of injuries, and the expectations of the people in Pretoria and worldwide. Actually, the Bulls are a very, very big franchise. That is pressure. Let's talk about that side of it. How are they coping with that, do you think, in Pretoria at the moment?
Yeah, I think, again, Johan, I'm saying it without... I'm saying it because I know that's the way he is. I worked with him a little bit with the Lions before. I knew him then. He wasn't the head coach then. It was before that. But Johan is a solid person, a very solid person that's very spiritual, that's got a very good foundation of what life is about. And I think he's experiencing pressure at the moment. There's no doubt about it. But the team will come right. I've got no doubt about it. If you think about the Sharks, they lost on the lock. Lost. And let me tell you, I won the Currie Cup with John Plumtree. And worked with John Plumtree. 2008, I won the Currie Cup with John Plumtree. And Dickie Meyer was the year before that. And John Plumtree is a great coach. There's no ways one can say John Plumtree is the problem there. There's no ways. He's a good man. He's culture. But to get the Boks in and out of a squad is always going to be a massive challenge. That's why it's happening because that's why a team like Lions playing well. And good luck for them, because they're a great team, because they keep the same team. But if you're in and out, and that's what's happening at the moment. I think the Bulls will get solidness now. Ruan is a great person, a great captain. He will definitely lead the team in different levels. There's no ways about it, but it's going to be a challenge because it's a coach tribe. Remember, he didn't get his own coaching staff. You need to connect with all the coaches. You need to connect with the fitness coach. You need to connect with the new leadership. It's not a quick thing like this that you're going to fix. But I think, and I can say it because I know the team quite well, and they're in a good space. We've got very people with character, and Marco, Marcel, Gerard. It's a solid Grobbies. If you see that team, a good lead, it's people, that's team people. So I want to believe that the Bulls are still going to play well. The pressure will build up, but like we said this week, actions is going to count. We play against the best team this weekend that won the Heineken Cup, the best team. So it's going to be massive challenging. We play with a lot of Springboks in a team now, but it's a team that hasn't played together. But that's what we just need to make it work, and that's the attitude of Yuan. We go into it, and the players, and less talking and more doing. So yes, I'm very positive on it's winning that final, and that's what got the Bulls against the Stormers, and that was, again, no excuses. But the reality is that year we played against the Stormers, we won Leinster in the semi-final. Leinster in Leinster. Not a lot of teams that. And then you need to fly back that same week, coming Monday, Tuesday, only back in South Africa, and then fly to Stormers and play them there. And it was like one score away. And then the game we should have won, and we weren't good enough. We should have won Glasgow. We were 10 points ahead. But again, our key players didn't play well in that game. And I don't want to mention anyone. Our key players weren't at their best. And then you need your key players. You need the Pollard, the vision in your team to kick the ball over. That's why we won the World Cup. And the All Blacks kicker miss, what's his name? That one, the Barrett. He missed that kick. Otherwise, New Zealand would have won. So that is the difference. Your good players, your great players, they perform well when the chips are. They need to perform. They're just a little bit better than the rest because that's why they're X Factor. And if your X Factor players are not at the best, you're not going to win it.
Why would they not have been at their best? Why would they not have been at their best, for example, against Glasgow? I mean, they beat Leinster the week before. If there ever was something that would have given them confidence, it would have been that victory. Maybe it was a bridge too far. It took too much out of them. They played the final supposedly against Leinster. What went wrong there?
It's challenging to play Leinster always in a semi-final and then the next one again. But again, that is a challenge. Not a lot went wrong. We were at the last 5 minutes just having it at such fine margins. Last 5 minutes scoring that Maul try. Then everyone said, how great is the Bulls? They turn it around. Now suddenly something is wrong with them. If we were beating by 20 points or 30 points, just that we were nowhere. But we should have won it. And it's, again, no excuse, but it's close margins of actually letting a game slip. And they scored just before halftime, if I can remember. It's always a crucial time. Coming in. And suddenly they're back in the game and score directly after halftime again. And suddenly you start saying, shit, what now? And then what I'm saying, it's just, and the pressure is there it will be always there. But yes, that's growing and learning and just getting better.
You mentioned the Springboks coming back to the Bulls now and going back to the Stormers and everybody else, but they haven't played together. And a big thing lately is cohesion. And actually there's been, Gainland Analytics has developed an algorithm. They can measure cohesion somehow. I don't know how that works exactly, but it's becoming a big thing now. And you as a high-performance coach now, obviously cohesion is quite important. You're going to have to, probably you and Johan and everybody else have to talk the players through being part of the Bulls setup suddenly, playing a little bit of a different game, a little bit of a different culture. How do you get that cohesion back on track?
Yeah, that is a challenge. But again, your leadership. You want your leadership to take control this week. So whatever the leadership is going to be with us, I think team has been announced. So it will be those key players that will have. I always say is the 3 C's. So the one thing that let's communicate more than ever. Let's connect. And this way you connect on a social level, many units connect with one another, in training connect with one another, have a feeling for one another. Because if you've got communication and you've got connectedness, there's clarity. And the important thing is for teams to play well, there's always clarity. Clarity, clarity, clarity. If you've got clarity going, you're going to play well. And the box has got always clarity. That's why everyone understands their role. And the challenge this week is, and it's luckily, and the Sharks are a little bit more disrupted. Even I don't know what his situation going to be, or that. But, the Bulls has played before. A lot of them played before. So the disruption is not that much. But yes, connection, communication, and clarity is, and that's our focus this week. You have to get clarity all the time. Everyone is on the same page. Everyone.
Having to not play with your Springboks and planning and injuries and enforced leave and rest periods and everything else. That must be quite challenging. I mean, even for the players, never mind the coaches.
Yeah, you need a squad with depth in it, because there's people getting injured. The Cameron is injured, still injured, and then you get that injury guys off and that guys. So that's massive challenge. But I mean that's part of being a good team. You can't make those excuses. And like I said, Saturday the Bulls played the Lions, and the Lions were the better team, and they deserved to win. We had chances, like Johan said, we didn't. And they scored from our mistakes, but that is a challenge in this game. You can never find excuses, because if you try and say, we haven't got that and we didn't play with that, and the combinations, and that guy came back, Akker came back from America, he's 7 months off, and that guy came back, and that guy only, then you will never win games, So the reality is, when you play a game, you need to be at your best, but it is a challenge for unions that got a lot of box, and it shows. And Western Province is doing at the moment. The Storm is doing so well. But, out of the Bulls pack, there's 5 players that played for the box now in the last test. Stormers hasn't got 1 player in their pack. They've got 2 or 3 or 2 players in their back line. So, and that's why they've got more rhythm. They play Currie Cup, a lot of those guys as well. But I think one needs to just always see the bigger picture and not become panic and say, what is wrong? How are we going to, because you're going to have that ups and downs. You're going to have your tough times, and you need to be, I've got a saying that I believe, how solid can you be in tough times? How solid can you be? And I mean, that's what the box showed us. They were solid in very difficult times, playing one man less, beating World Cups, winning by 1 point. That's being solid in tough times. And that's the qualities of great teams.
Right. Last question. I wanted to ask you, when the Springboks now come back from the Springbok camp, they spent weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, they played 15 tests this year. They spent a lot of time together. And like you said, it's a very special Springbok culture. How much of that gets transferred now to the Bulls and the Stormers and the Sharks in a good way? Like a Ruan. I remember Ruan coming back last year after the Tri Nations, or the Rugby Championship. To me, a changed player, a different player, he seems to have grown a lot. You could see it physically on the field. He was different. His demeanor was different. And then I think I'm referring exactly back to that URC final. He was dejected, and he grew after that, having been with the Springbok camp for so long. What do you see there with the Springboks coming back? What do they bring back?
No, it's just great having guys back, because they want to be here as well. They could easily say, I'm injured, I can't play. And all of them want to play. They're keen to still play after. And one needs to, of course, it's tough on a physical level, not seeing your family and playing again next week, they go overseas again. But it brought a lot of confidence. I think those guys just brings, if Ruan is next to me, or Marco is there, or Kainan Moody, you just feel, hey, it gives a calmness. And that's the thing that I've learned, working with cricketers and working with a lot of teams. You need not just motivation, you need calm, and now we're ready for this. So it's not just psyching players up and say, we need to be ready, we need to do that. That calmness, if I can describe the word, calm, cool, and just being composed in a good way, and now we're ready. And that's what they bring. They bring confidence, but they bring a lot of calmness. And we've got those guys, and because if you calm in a good sense, you make good decisions. And I think they bring that experience, but you can't buy that, and that's very special to have them back. I only feel for them, because it's a lot of games people play and being away from their families, and but that's a challenge of players now. It's like how we still help them to have time with their families and their loved ones, and not just everything is about rugby. That is a challenge.
The important thing is Jan hasn't had much time to work with his Springboks. It's basically almost the first time that they're going to play for him. And they just arrived back in the country, I suppose, the day before yesterday, something like that. And now suddenly they have to jump in against the champions, the defending champions. What a big game this is going to be.
Yeah, no, but I spoke to Ruan, and Ruan just said, our season actually starts now. It's so great, he said, our season starts now. With respect with the other guys, I mean, they tried their best. We're still in a good position, not the best we can be, but you know what? I always say the bigger the challenge, the bigger the response. And the weekend's challenge is massive. I think I've got to trust one another. There will be some mistakes, but just having the team and playing again for one another. But again, he's really, it's a challenge, like you said. And the same for Plummy, and the same for John Dobson, having players back. But that's part and parcel of what you've got. And but again, a last word from my side, maybe in that sense, is if you've got good people in your team, you can work with them, and that's that character and that players that are willing to sacrifice for the team, and then they'll go the extra mile, whatever happens. But we don't make teams that we play against too big, because I believe if you make one is strong, if the enemy must respond to you, and you can't just worry about them all the time. So we've got a massive challenge, but the challenge is more how we're going to get our standard and the way we want to play than who we play against.
Right, I've taken a lot of your time. Thank you so much. It was such an interesting conversation, and I know we had our challenges, amongst them Egypt. I never knew Egypt was going to be a problem. You had to go to Egypt, so thank you for making time for me coming back. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great chatting to you, and sorry for the background.
No, we saw the Bulls. They're serious about staying for conditioning. It's not a problem at all. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. You must have a great day and take care.